Fox 61, Connecticut's news station, starts with a weather impact alert.
Now at 10 tonight, some neighborhoods are drying out and cleaning up after last night's storm, and it won't be long before another round of storms comes to Connecticut. And that's why our team has issued that weather impact alert. Thanks for joining us here in the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Sarah Sanchez. Now, you might feel some deja vu tomorrow. It'll be hot, it'll be sticky, and because of that, a chance for some random bursts of lightning, some of those storms to pop up like we saw yesterday. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank is here to time things out for us. So, Rachel, when will things get started?
I think around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Sarah, and that will begin in northwest Connecticut. So there might be some along the shoreline that stay dry for much of the day until the evening hours. And we always like to issue these weather impact alerts to give you a heads up, because let's say you are out enjoying the first half of the day, which will be dry. Just make sure that you have a way of staying weather aware and getting alerts sent to you so you know when it's time to head inside, because we are anticipating scattered storms, and some of those could be strong to severe, very similar to what we had in place yesterday. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a level 2 risk for severe weather in the Connecticut area. It's a 5-level threat scale, and once again, just like yesterday, there is a chance for damaging winds in the strongest storms, but unlike yesterday, we could also throw some large hail into the mix again in some of the strongest storms. Here's a look at the radar right now. We're doing just fine, and as we widen out the picture, you'll see the cold front that is heading our way, and that's the front that will trigger not only some of those storms, but some changes for the 4th of July. Overnight lows will be in the 60s. Tomorrow, we start the day off with full sunshine, and it's another warm and sticky day with highs climbing into the mid and even upper 80s as we head through the afternoon. But again, starting around 2 o'clock, we'll watch northwestern Connecticut first for some scattered showers and thunderstorms, and that will not only help cool us off, but also bring an end to the humidity heading into July 4th. We'll explain. Your full forecast is coming up.
And stay with Fox 61 throughout this weather impact alert. You can download our free app to take our forecast with you anywhere you go. Stay with us on Fox 61 Plus for minute-by-minute forecasts. As every car owner in Connecticut knows, every July we get one of those unwelcome bills in the mail. Property taxes are out across the state, and many taxpayers say they're paying more on their car this year. That's because the state says your car might be worth more. Fox 61's Stefan Reels went to New Britain, where frustrations have hit a fever pitch. So the mayor stepped in to respond.
This new property tax evaluation method has been in the work for several years and was mainly done as a way to create a singular way to calculate the taxes on someone's car. Because up till now, you had each city and town in Connecticut, they had their own formula to figure out that number. But be that as it may, this news still came as a shock to a lot of people, so much so that you had city leaders like New Britain Mayor Erin Stewart get involved and address her community.
We have so many of you who have been reaching out to me.
People living in New Britain and all over Connecticut have found themselves even more confused after the state's new car evaluation went into effect. There's a new formula that has caused the value of some vehicles to increase significantly, with an increase in the valuation rate by 5 percentage points and a change in how a car depreciates in value until it's 15 years old.
Assessors are now required to utilize MSRP, so manufacturer suggested retail price of your vehicle, and then apply the statutory depreciation schedule to calculate the depreciated value of your vehicle. So the way that they did it before was that they were using market value or J.D. Powers.
To avoid penalties, taxpayers must make their payments by August 1st. And as the deadline approaches, people like Thomas Davis have begun to wait by their mailbox to see what they will have to pay.
Kind of hard to determine what you're going to get. You just got to basically look out for it, and you got to deal with what you get.
So what's this all going to look like? Well, let's use this car for example. Originally, under the old method, let's say it was $6,000. It could potentially be around $8,000 for this go around, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to pay more for it on your taxes, and it all comes down to something called the mill rate.
I spoke with Sarah Spodek, the tax clinic director at Quinnipiac University. She told me despite this increase in base valuation, taxpayers should expect to pay lower bills this year due to the requirement from the new method that towns apply the lowest mill rate, or the amount of dollars you pay for every $1,000. And while this could seem like a benefit initially, Those rates could increase in 2026 to help make up for the budget shortfall cities and towns may see in 2025.
New Britain alone has lost millions in potential car tax revenue.
If you want to make a push against paying this new value, there is a chance to make an appeal. And to find out what options you have, you can always check out your city or town's website to figure out what may work for you. In New Britain, Stefan Reels, Fox 61.
Environmental advocates have a warning about the use of a controversial herbicide to combat the spread of an invasive species in the state's rivers and lakes. And tonight, state officials are defending their position on the matter, but opponents worry about the potential for long-term damages. Fox 61's Raven Blue has more from a protest.
Protesters gathered at the state capitol building Wednesday evening to take a stand against the use of dicot in local rivers and lakes. They say the controversial herbicide will do more harm than good to the environment, wildlife, and public health.
Spraying horrible chemicals that kill everything into our lakes and rivers, it isn't necessary.
Selena Rifkin and other environmental advocates are calling on the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to find a new way to deal with the invasive and highly transmissible strain of hydrilla, a water plant that is listed as a federal noxious weed.
There are tons of invasive species in Connecticut. Why are they going after the hydrilla?
According to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, hydrilla in Connecticut has spread throughout the Connecticut River into coves, tributaries, and boat basins. In a statement, Keith Hannon, project manager with the Army Corps of Engineers, says while the Army Corps appreciates the interest in their efforts to combat the spread of hydrilla, the threat of the strain to the Connecticut River's natural ecology is real and can cause degradation of the river habitat and water quality and can harm native plants and animals. He also says the hydrilla can affect the local economy by losing water navigability and fishing, lowering property value, and increasing flood risk. Hannon goes on to say dicot has gone through lab testing to protect public health and the environment, and these products have passed comprehensive EPA risk assessment processes for registration of aquatic use at both the state and federal level. In a statement, Will Healy, the Director of Communications with DEEP, says the department has regulations in place to ensure chemicals are used in ways that minimize risk to human health, the environment, and other species, and that they are working with the Army Corps to make sure all state laws and requirements are followed. But Rifkin believes there are better ways to deal with the hydrilla than to use dicot.
There could have been educational campaigns about what this is. There could have been a call for volunteers to pull it out by hand. There could have been some kind of examination of the other possibilities for getting rid of it. This is a financial option, and the easy solution isn't always the best one.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says the best way to slow down the spread of the hydrilla is to report any sightings of it to the state or to the Connecticut River Conservancy. In Hartford, Raven Blue, Fox 61.
New tonight, no people were hurt in a house fire on Putnam Street in Hartford, but we've learned a dog unfortunately died. Firefighters were called to the multifamily home around 7:15 tonight. The fire started on the second floor and spread to the third story. Several people had to be treated for smoke inhalation on scene. We've asked how many people will have to find a new home. We'll update you once we learn more. And a family suing Middlesex Hospital claiming its negligence led to their mother's death. A lawsuit filed in Middletown says Gay Sherman Whites died after being restrained and left unmonitored for hours. At 55 years old, she was in the emergency department for a mental health crisis. Her family claims vital signs weren't checked for more than 14 hours, and a doctor never treated her. When a nurse found her unresponsive, it was too late. The family seeking more than $15,000 in damages. We reached out to Middlesex Health for a statement tonight, and Sarah Cody, the director of media relations for Middlesex Health, just got back to us. She says, quote, "Our hearts go out to the family. Due to patient privacy laws, Middlesex Health is unable to comment on the specifics of any individual's care. However, we can assure you that the hospital follows rigorous standards to ensure the highest quality care and patient safety." A Connecticut corrections officer has admitted to threatening a federal agent and his family. He pleaded guilty in federal court. Scott Robert Tardy worked at a detention facility in Connecticut. Prosecutors say he used social media to post threats against an FBI agent and his wife. He shared photos of the wife and a map of their home and told others to burn down the house while the family slept. Tardy now faces up to 20 years in prison. The FBI says Tardy lied to investigators and tried to hide the evidence. They still found enough to connect him to the threats. He'll be sentenced later this year. Well, new tonight in your Health Watch, there was a spike in deadly overdoses over the weekend. 22 people died in just 3 days, 7 of them near Bridgeport alone. And now substance abuse treatment groups want to get the word out about what's happening here. Liberation programs in Bridgeport tells us fentanyl is showing up in more drugs. Everything from phony Xanax now to opioids. They've tested samples with 5% fentanyl. It's usually between 1 to 2%. And the new drugs are mixed with metonidine, which is a dangerously strong animal tranquilizer. All this comes just as Connecticut's yearly drug deaths fell below 1,000 for the first time since fentanyl hit the streets. Of course, the safest way to stay safe is not do drugs, but outreach workers at least want drug users to be warned. Their message is go low, go slow. And to liberation programs, they want them to bring their substances in for testing.